Welcome to Season 3 of the Knack for Business podcast, over 350 episodes strong. We're here to ignite your entrepreneurial spirit with fresh insights, networking gems, and creative strategies that elevate your game.
From an audience perspective, how do you turn your business story into a short, powerful video that actually makes people say, yes, I want to work with you? That's exactly what JoJo will dive into, sharing how she helps startups and small businesses craft irresistible video sales letters and explainer videos that connect emotionally, spark action, and bring their brand to life. If you're ready to transform how people see your business, tune in and discover JoJo's expert tips on using video to amplify your message, stand out in your marketplace, and capture the right audience. JoJo LaRiccia is our guest today, and she is from LaRiccia Media. JoJo is a powerhouse filmmaker whose journey began at age 11 when she earned A in a film photography at MIT. Even though she was too young for credit, she went on to Berklee College of Music, where her creative spark led her to produce the first music video, a runner-up on MTV's Basement Tapes. JoJo's career took off with the Emmy-nominated children's show, JoJo's Dream Cart, where she wore many hats as producer, host, singer, and songwriter. She also helped archive and produce Dead Air Live, America's longest-running live TV show. When the world shifted during COVID, JoJo reinvented herself by mastering the art of 2-minute video sales letters and explainer videos, working remotely with clients on everything from script writing to filming and editing in high def or 4K, all tailored to their brand and delivered across 100 plus distribution channels. Known for her fearless attitude and her motto, bring it on, ready to tackle any creative challenge and help businesses tell their story in a way that truly connects. JoJo, it's an absolute pleasure having you here today. And thank you for being our guest. Do you have a favorite quote to say?
Yeah. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world, but suffer the loss of his own soul? And that's from the Bible. I'm not promoting the Bible, but I love that quote because a lot of people take shortcuts today and they'll do whatever it takes to get to the top, not considering or being kind to other humans. I want to share a story with you. Back in the day, I was pursuing my musical career when I was going to Berklee College of Music. I remember being in California. This was 1986. And I remember a record company executive locked me in his office. I went, this is not good. He never made a move on me, but it was insinuated that if I wanted to make it to the top, I basically had to sleep with him. And I just said in my mind, that's never going to happen. I would rather be a bagger at a local supermarket than sell my soul. I will never do that. I have too much integrity and respect for myself. When I lived in New York for a while and I was pursuing my career, meeting with many record executives, I was told by somebody, and this was 1988, he said, you are very talented. You're a great singer. He said, but you have a problem. You're too nice. I said, well, what's that supposed to mean? I'm too nice. He said, many executives expect women to sleep with them. That's how the doors open. I said, well, that's never going to happen. He said, that's why you're too nice. So I had to pivot and change direction because I just said, this is ridiculous. Why would women stoop so low to do something so crazy? To advance your career? You have to sleep with someone? I said, that's not going to happen ever. And it never did.
JoJo. And you have a business tagline too. Tell us about your taglines.
Oh, yeah. When I'm at these networking events, people remember not how much you know, but how much you care. Get your mojo with JoJo. My info's in the chat. That's where it's at. Are you ready for a cup of JoJo? They say in America, hey, you want a cup of Joe? Well, a cup of JoJo, it's like a double espresso. And I think I'm high energy. So that's why I say to people, are you ready for a cup of JoJo? Here I am. Get ready and bring it on. Because whatever the world wants to bring to me, I'm going to embrace it. It doesn't always go right, and there's no perfect formula. But if you embrace life and give it your all, anything is possible. What do you think, Bernie? What do you think, Wade?
Jojo, I think you have a lot of energy. If the people can't see you expressing this, but they can hear you, it'd be very, very strongly. That's awesome.
So on a podcasting note, how do you make people say yes on video?
One of the big things that I've noticed in life is that you don't try to convince anyone to buy something from you. You have to do what I call add value. It is better to fill their cup and give to them. I have an addiction, by the way. I suppose it's a good addiction for everyone else. And it's okay for me, but my addiction is I love making introductions. I make 50 to 100 intros per day. This is how I get people to say yes. Because when I do my Zoom calls with them, I always ask questions. I want to find out a little bit about them. I do a little write-up about them. And then I ask them, what industries do you want to meet? Once I establish what industries they want to meet, I show them very quick samples, like 30-second or minute samples of my videos. They're getting to see my work, but they're getting to see the person that I'm going to introduce them to. This has worked so unbelievable that it is in everyone's interest. Give before you receive, because people will feel special when you give to them. Everybody needs connections. Everybody needs to make a living. People need extra money in their wallet. And my job is to help them to make that.
You have such panache. It's wonderful. Your energy comes out so well. And when you're doing a video, do you find that the person has to express themselves, right? To do that 2-minute video, is there kind of a staging setup, address accordingly? So if you're a mechanic, you wear your
Yes.
If you're a dentist, you wear the smock or something akin to that. If you're a CEO, usually typically tie. Unless, of course, you're in the SaaS world or Silicon Valley, and then it's whatever comes along. Do you stage that also? Is that all part of the whole process of
Yeah.
that 2-minute video? What
Yeah.
goes behind that scene?
Yeah, we're going to go behind the scenes a little bit. And by the way, I have a new offering now, which I do 30-second, minute, or 2-minute videos. I was doing the 2-minute videos up to a few months ago, and then I realized people want the quick videos. They want quick. They want fast. When we do a video, we have to grab the attention within the first few seconds. If you don't grab the attention within the first few seconds, your audience is lost. So you asked about what goes on behind the scenes. I make sure that you are wearing the right colors. Colors affect the mood. They fall differently on the skin. They reflect. I've been in the TV broadcast industry for many years, and I've worked every aspect from climbing ladders to fix the lights. I pride myself in producing. I love putting all the details together. When a person does a video, there's many, many moving parts. There's their hair, there's their clothes, what's behind them, what's beside them, what's in front of them, the lights, the logo, the graphics, their demographics. There's the script, there's the story. Without a good story, you have nothing. Even if your video is 5 seconds, you have to tell a story in 5 seconds. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And a lot of people think, oh, I could do my own video and they do it on their own, but they don't have a clue. When I started doing videos, I wasn't very good, and I'm still learning. Every day there's something new to learn, and I have to be on my A game, because if I'm not, then I'm going to get swallowed up. I'd like to think that I'm on my A game because I'm detailed oriented. You can have the best looking video, but if your audio is not good, you have nothing. In the movie industry, the audio person is one of the highest paid people. If you don't have good audio, you've got nothing. You're creating this podcast. Your audio's going to sound great. If you've ever watched a TV show or a movie or a newscast, if the audio is bad, your brain goes haywire. But if the audio is good, you go into a movie theater and the audio takes over, coming from all different sides. So your audio is even more important than the video. I want to share a quick story about my mom. I take my mom to a movie years ago, and they had all these effects. I said to her, Mama, wasn't that movie spectacular? She says, no, it was awful. What do you mean? She says, yeah, the effects were great, but I don't remember anything about the movie because it didn't have a good story. The movies that last have a good story. So what I have to do as a filmmaker, when I work with people creating these 30-second, 1 minute or 2 minute videos, I have to make sure that I tell a good story, a story that's going to promote your business. It's not going to be all salesy, but it has to create enough curiosity that people are going to want to know more about you, and they're going to be drawn into your world.
How do you release your inner Kardashian? How do you become an influencer?
You have to be authentic, Wayne, because people do not like phony people. You have to be real with people. You have to show that you care. I genuinely love people. I was out with a couple of friends the other day, and I told them I love making introductions. They said, even if you weren't doing videos and you were just walking down the street, you just love people. People love you. The reason why I have become an influencer is that when I am with anybody, you are the most important person on the planet. Everybody wants to be seen, heard, and remembered. The reason why some young people join gangs is they want to be included. People need to be loved. They need to be heard. Everyone needs to feel important. Have you ever noticed that if you're out to dinner, and this really drives me nuts, and you're sitting at a table with 1 or 2 senior people and there's a bunch of young people, the young people ignore the senior people. They ignore them. The reason why they do that is because they don't have a clue. The senior people are the most fascinating people on the planet because they lived life, they have great stories. So I think that is like the rudest thing, to ignore people. Or if you're engaged in a conversation with someone, you have to make sure that you're talking to all the different parties. You're not just glancing at one person. What made Bill Clinton a fantastic president and a great speaker is when he would walk into a room and there would be thousands of people, you felt like you were the only one. And that's a superpower. Everybody wants to feel important. It's not about me, it's about you. It's always about you. When anybody meets with you, most people are thinking, they don't really care what you do. They want to know, what can you do for me? So I always come from that place. What am I going to do for you? And I love that because I'm a giver. I want to give to people because people want to feel important. and they need to make money. And I love watching people make money. I don't know why. I just love it.
I always wanted to be a gigolo.
Really?
Is that jiggling or a gigolo?
Why? Wait, why have you always wanted to be a gigolo? What's up with that?
Therapy. Here we go.
Yeah. I know there's going to be a little bit of humor here.
I used to weigh about 40 pounds more than I do now. My wife says I put the jiggle in gigolo.
Oh, I like that. Okay. Okay. You know what? You are very charming.
Could you put that in writing?
She knows.
Your help.
That's why she married you. You're just someone that people want to come up and hug. If I saw you on the street, I would say to you, Wayne, can I hug you?
Why do most business people do such a bad job telling their story, their brand?
Business owners are afraid. They're thinking about the next dollar. And I know that they have to live. I know that's important. We as humans have to show that we care about each other. I'm going to give you an example, okay? I get a call, and this is how the call went. I need you to go to my mother's grave and lay down these flowers. And I went, who is this? She said, it's your cousin. I said, can you tell me your name? She tells me her name. And I hadn't seen this person in 50 years. She's demanding that I place flowers on her mother's grave. And she said, I'm in Maryland, and you're the only one that lives near my mother, and I need you to put flowers on her grave. And I said to her, aren't you going to say hello? How are you? Haven't seen you in 50 years. There's no warmth here. There's just, what can I do for her? Well, honestly, I was shut down. And it's not that I'm heartless, but a lot of people do this in business. They do not warm up to the person to find out a little bit about them, get to know them a little. They just want to make the sale. It's cold. It's heartless. There's no warmth. And
By the flowers, JoJo, that's what we need to know. Did you end up playing?
no, I did not, because I felt like I was bullied, and I felt that was disrespectful, and no disrespect to her mother. But I just said her brother lives like 60 miles away. Yeah, I'm like 5 miles away. And by the way, I never heard from her again. And this is what people are doing on social media. They're doing this on LinkedIn. They just want to go in for the kill. To answer your question, Bernie, Wayne, about people not being able to brand themselves. First off, they're afraid. They're just thinking about the bottom line, and they're not getting to know the person. They're doing it ass backwards. Sorry to be crude, but that's what's happening.
Oh, we could take it much darker than that.
So I guess the key here is part of the story when you're doing a story, other than, give me your money, here's a product, right? Which is kind of a cold, you don't know if it's a good fit. But I think the other key element is the right emotions. How do you get the right emotion in the story that it resonates with the person, who the audience is? So if we're, if she had reached out to you and said, how are you, and so forth, and built up to it.
I would have been at that grave. It would have been a no-brainer. She had no heart. She was just thinking about herself and portraying guilt of things she hadn't resolved with her mother. I can read through people. She had issues with, I know this from my mother. There was issues. There was problems with this child, with the mother. And she was trying to make up for something. It was like a little too late for her mother. But that's not my problem. That's her problem. But I'm willing to help you with your problem. And I'm willing to go the extra mile with you. Just show me a little bit of heart and be authentic. Don't be cold and callous. I was on a Zoom call with this guy from Florida. And Florida's been through a lot with their hurricanes. I've never done this to a human on Zoom. And I said to him, "You are the most depressing human that I've ever met on Zoom." And he said to me, "What do you mean?" I said, "Have you looked at yourself in the mirror? Go talk to yourself the way you're talking to me. Honestly, nobody wants to hear about your problems. They don't want to hear about your complaints. They don't want to hear you criticizing. They don't want to hear you condemning." I said, "It's not attractive. If you want business, you have to show up with a heart and a soul. You just can't be all negative. Negativity shuts people down. The world has a lot of issues. Nobody wants to come into a Zoom room with someone and they'll say, don't get me wrong, if you lost your parent or your dog or your cat, we will be empathic. But a person that just regularly complains, it's kind of like you want to say, shut the front door. I'm just saying.
So happy, tell your face.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't have problems. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
So from a business perspective, then, when you're doing a pitch, the keys are, to stay away from the negatives, right? Stay to the positives. You can talk about pros and cons.
Right.
The cons should not be front and center. The pros should be coming, why is this a benefit? Not that you should be evasive. In other words, there's some vehicles out there, yeah, they're good vehicles, but are they the best vehicle for that person? So you try to find a good fit. So it's not just all sugar on top and whipped cream, because then it's not authentic. But at the same time, you just can't come across like you got a cloud following you and rain's hitting you on the head and thunderstorms lightening your hair up.
But Bernie, people have to know how you solve the pain points in business. So it's okay to bring that up. You just don't want to dwell and be that Debbie Downer.
Go ahead, Wayne.
Tell me you do a podcast.
I did do a podcast. I had a podcast called Somerville Connects. But I realized that when I interview people to do their videos, I was basically doing the same thing. And I said, you know what? I'm a filmmaker. I always like to do things that are a little different. There's many people doing podcasts, and I appreciate being here with you, Bernie. Thank you. But the reason why I decided to immerse myself with the videos, writing, filming, editing, and the distribution on over 100 platforms, I wanted to do something that gave great value. And so, yeah, I love doing the podcast, but I love doing the videos even more. I just absolutely love it.
Something that I'm going to tie into one of your themes. One of the most wooden podcasts we ever did with a guest. You could see that it was just so bottled up. Ironically enough, when we turned off the record, the guy was stunning. He told us what he did. He told us how he did it. He made good points. It was just tragic. I wanted to hide the record button so we could have used that one. How do you overcome camera shy or the red light syndrome so that you can at least do the best that you can do?
Oh, that's super easy. When I had my children's TV show that was on PBS, I had a group of kids that were all ADHD, which I didn't know till they got on the set. And I could see that there was something different about these kids, but they were beautiful souls. And I know that all you have to do is make people feel special, loved, important, and they shine. You bring out their absolute most positive assets. You say, your hair looks great. Your makeup looks stunning. You only talk about the good. You do not talk about anything negative. If you have a suggestion to make, you may say, may I offer you a suggestion? And that just kind of like takes the sting out. So instead of like going in for the kill saying, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong, nobody reacts kindly to that. They put up their defenses. You always make 3 deposits before you make a withdrawal. Have you ever heard of that? No.
I haven't.
If you want to make a point with somebody, let's say you go in to get your car fixed and you're talking to the service provider. You know, a lot of people go into the car provider. This is wrong with my car. Say 3 positive things. You may compliment the person, talk about how you have the best car in the world, talk about that it's a smooth ride. Then you say, by the way, I have this issue. You've already softened the blow. That's making 3 deposits before you make the withdrawal, before you tell them about your grievance. It just works so well.
So let's assume that you resonate with the people and that they know they all have iPhones, but they'd like more help from you. How would they go about finding you to see if you could do them? How do we get them to you?
Oh, do you want to know how people can contact me? Easy. Text me, 617-710-2848. 617-710-2848. Or send me an email at jojo@LaRicciaMedia.com. I'll respond. Absolutely. Let's do a Zoom and find out how I can help you. What introductions can I make for you? If we do a video together, great. If we don't, that's great too. I get to meet another human on the planet because every single person is like a brand new book. Everybody has a story. Everybody's interesting.
Out of your past experience working with businesses, are there any industries that video is not going to help? Or is that kind of a fallacy and video can help anybody and everybody to do that 2-minute pitch? And then how do you make it a time memorial?
I cannot work with people that have very strict compliance departments. For instance, insurance companies or financial institutions. Often you have to jump through hurdles. It's not impossible, but I've done podcasts with people in finance and insurance, and they had to take it down because they may have said one word that it's regulated. How do you make something that stands out to beat the test of time? That's really easy. And that's where I believe the people that I work with, we are your shiny penny. We want to make sure that the videos we create for you will last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, that it's tried and true interview process so I can write the script. It's important. Are there right answers that a person gives? No, there's no right or wrong answers. I just need them to give me the information as I ask the questions, and then we go from there. I believe that I am giving people videos to stand the test of time, Bernie.
That's beautiful. That is truly awesome. You said earlier, as we were doing the pre-chat here for this podcast, you said you have a special offer?
I do the 30-second video, the minute video, and the 2-minute video. And remember, I write your script. I film you remotely in HD, most of the times in 4K. We do a custom design edit, but then I help you to market and distribute over 100 platforms. Once I do your video, I promote you all day long. I'm constantly promoting people. The special offer is get together with me. Let's have a conversation. And then I'll tell you what my offering is. I am affordable. I'm not the cheapest. I'm affordable. I pay attention to detail. I promise you, I will do a great job. I'm a people pleaser. I want to make sure that you're happy with the product. I want to make sure that I deliver, my team delivers. It's very important. We're not a one size fits all. Every single person is different. Every single brand is different.
JoJo, I want to say thank you for being our guest today. Wayne Pratt, you being the co-host, I'd like to say thank you. And you, especially the Knack for Business listeners, because we really appreciate you being here. And reach out to JoJo because she helps your business transform your story into a short, high-impact video. And that's what you need. It spark that emotion, to get that connection with your audience. That's key and critical. And as you've heard, she loves helping companies grow and earn their way through life. Just remember, she was 11 years old when she started getting into this business.
To reach the podcast hosts, email them at info@creativeinsight.com or by the website creativeinsight.com, spelled KREATIVINSIGH.com. To reach Wayne at his email, wayne@motivateyou.ca, that is MOTIVE, the numeral 8 and the letter U.ca, or his website, motivateyou.ca. If you would like to be a guest on this podcast and share your knowledge, let us know. We would also appreciate your feedback on the content or format. Check the show notes for more details. For these podcasts, we like to acknowledge the support and thanks to the following people. Carl Richards from Podcast Solutions Made Simple, a renowned podcast expert. Fred Crouch, who is the Property Wizard podcaster, where Bernie is a co-host. Jovan Strika from At Hive, a co-working space that is more than just a space. Then Melanie Weber, Bernie's invaluable business partner, and Wayne Pratt from Motivate You Inc., who serves as both a coach and co-host of these podcasts. Disclaimer: please note that the Knack for Business podcast episodes are meant solely for educational and general informational purposes. The information and opinions contained within are not intended to be professional advice on any subject matter. The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by the participants are their own personal beliefs and do not represent the views of the podcast hosts or any affiliated organizations. It is important to note that this podcast is not a replacement for consulting with certified experts in your area who possess knowledge of your unique situation. The hosts of the podcast, along with any participants or affiliated groups, do not take responsibility for any actions taken or not taken based on the information presented in this episode. It is highly recommended that individuals seek guidance from their own personal advisors in fields such as accounting, law, or other pertinent areas prior to undertaking any actions or making decisions that may impact their financial, legal, or other aspects of life.